ask yourself every day, if I were to let go of the notion that I'm not creative, what would I create today? What would I make? What would make me smile? Good day, everyone, and welcome. Here we are for another episode of the Create, Play, Live show. I am your host, Nanette Saylor, and I am super excited to bring a very special guest to you today who hails from Mexico. And she is Rachel Perry Schrank. She describes herself as simply a creative because she has worn a lot of hats, like many of our guests, and is currently in a transition and finding her way through some delightful new ways of expressing herself in the world. So without further ado, I am going to introduce you to Rachel and let her begin to tell her story. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hello, Nanette. Thank you very much for having me.
So glad you're here. Really excited about this conversation.
I am too. I'm going to ramble. I warn you.
It's all good. My goodness. That's my favorite part of this show, that we allow ourselves to do that, right?
Yes.
We are women allowing ourselves to follow our curiosity in the world and see where it takes us.
Yeah.
And not only doing that for us, but nurturing it for others and modeling it for others. Yeah. So ramble away, my friend.
Okay, so here's my intro. I have been a professional photographer for the past 10 years or so. Before that, I was studying film and video, so I did videography. And I worked for Apple Computer as a creative for a while. So I've been in the last, I would say, 15 to 20 years in the digital arts.
Nice.
In the past 3 years, I've been in various stages of a kind of transition in which I started to realize that I was not fully expressing everything that I felt I could give to the world. Being a photographer, it was sort of like a happy accident that I became a photographer.
Mm-hmm.
But I started to feel that I needed to more fully express my soul's calling. And it took me a very long time to finally realize that really I should be teaching and I should be working in theater. That was my original calling. Anybody who knows me since I was in high school could tell you that, you know.
Yeah.
But it's really taken me this long and a lot of kind of like aha moments and a lot of overcoming fears and my own interior, monologue, that the like doubter, to realize that I must do it. I must do it.
Yeah.
So right now I'm in a really exciting transition. About 2 years ago, I met somebody in Playa del Carmen. That's where I've lived for the last 11 years, who has become an amazing collaborator. Her name is Vanessa Highland. And she had just recently moved here from New York City, and she did like the whole theater world there. She's a professional ballet dancer. And we hit it off immediately and started a theater company here in Playa. So that was 2 years ago. We both have like a million things that we want to accomplish at once, so we're like, we've been finding our way so far. We have a million ideas ahead of us, but right now we have a show that we just started. We're doing an Airbnb experience, kind of an immersive theater situation. We have a show tomorrow. And we're starting to play, this may be the first of many, we're starting to play Renaissance festivals.
Yes. Very exciting.
Yeah, so that project's called Stage Garden. And at the very same time, I have been, I think it's been about a year now, or a year and a half, that I've been studying something called eurythmy, which is a subject that is taught only in Waldorf schools, although sometimes people in music schools or theater schools also know it. But it's like a discipline which combines music, appreciation, movement, poetry, theater, spirituality, all at the same time. And
amazing.
it's actually, I really had a vision of this 20 years ago. I didn't know what it was. I had an actual dream that I was doing something like that, but I didn't know what it was. I didn't know how to find it. So it was a very big surprise to me when it showed up.
Yes.
In my life a year and a half ago. So I'm studying to be a professional eurythmist. And
Nice.
I will begin teaching in local Waldorf schools coming in January.
Fantastic.
So my is manifesting.
What I love, there are two things I love about your story now. One is that you met a woman and together you guys just started exploring the possibility of what it looked like to create together. And fast forward not that far into the future, you guys have a video, you've done awesome professional performances. Now you're doing Airbnb experiences, and who knows where else and Renaissance festivals, who knows where else it's going to take you. And then this other thing is that there was this discovery or uncovery of the process of eurythmy. And you and I have had this conversation before. I want to share it with our audience, though, how synchronicity shows up in our lives. Yes. It turns out that my mother, when she was a young woman, studied eurythmics as a dancer. And I didn't know what it was. I'd never heard of it until you mentioned it. I knew my mother was a modern dance fan. She introduced me to Martha Graham when I was a young girl, and I loved modern dance. And then at some point after you and I had a conversation about it, I was visiting my mother and we were looking at some old pictures, and she had this beautiful photograph of herself in these flowing gown, in this just beautifully graceful pose. And she said, "Oh yeah, that's when I was studying eurythmics." What? How does that happen?
Yeah.
Right? And so I think it's interesting just to notice for those of us in the world who subscribe to the idea that like molecules sort of vibrate around in the world and end up connected, that things like this show up for us when we allow ourselves to pay attention.
Yes.
And you know, like you said, you had a dream a gazillion years ago that you didn't know what it was. And now here you are at this stage in your life, open to seeing new possibilities, and it shows up again. So
that's right. Yes.
Yeah, super cool.
It was such a surprise to me. But the way I got there was I thought, really, it was about 3 years ago. I was busy all the time, busy, running a business, busy, you know.
Yes.
But, I opened a door, a little crack, you know. I thought, I just feel like I want to sing. Like when am I ever going to learn to play all the musical instruments I want to learn, you know? And so I went to another local woman here who is doing a nightclub performance thing called Noche de Divas. She's very inspiring too. Her name's Paula Lieb. I could give a shout out to her. She's written like 4 books. She has about herself, she has a 4-volume biography series. That's fascinating.
Nice.
But anyway, she was giving voice lessons. And I thought, I don't know. Maybe I should start there. You know, I've barely ever had voice lessons. Let's just try it. And so I went, and she had me sing a scale, and then she was like, well, you should come sing with us, you know? I'm like,
surprise.
yeah, I'm like, yes, but I'm terrified of singing alone on stage,
Yes.
you know? And then I went home and I thought about it and I was like, why am I terrified of singing alone on stage? Why have I always been terrified of singing alone on stage?
Yeah.
If I could get over, there's something there. There's a fear. There's a huge fear there.
Yeah.
And let's just imagine, like, what if I could get over that? What would happen?
Yeah.
What if I learned to sing on stage by myself? What if I even learned to play instruments on stage by myself?
Ooh.
If I made myself get on a stage, I bet you I would learn.
Yes.
Because I'm not afraid of the stage. I'm a theater person, you know.
Yes. Yes.
So it was like, I thought, you know what? She's right. Like, I'm gonna take this challenge on.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna see what happens, you know?
Yeah.
And I was absolutely terrified. I was shaking. Like
Yeah.
the first week, I only sang, and I didn't play instruments because I quickly upped the ante for myself because I was like, I'm on a roll. But the first week I only sang, and I mean, I was shaking, I was terrified, you know, but I did it.
Yes.
You know? And then I think by the second or third week, I thought, well, hey, if I can do that, then I learned a song on the piano and I played a song on the guitar. Like, none of this I thought I would be able to do in front of people, but I thought if I can do that, then I can do this because, you know, then I thought,
Right.
wait a minute, maybe I play the piano. I mean, I had always played the piano, but it's a different thing to play something for, you know, by yourself in your house. And that's also very important, you know, but
Yes.
for me as a performer and as a, like, kind of a Leo kind of person, I thought if I set myself that bar and I can jump over it, I have made great progress, you know. I mean, I get a badge. I get on my, like, creativity Girl Scout.
Yes. Yes.
I'm getting a badge. So anyway, I mean, those two performances really opened a whole world.
Yeah.
Because I said, I really want to do this. At that point, I would not have imagined, like, oh, and then I'm going to start a theater company, and then I'm going to join a band, and then I'm going to transition out of my previous job. And then I paid attention to a feeling, and it was a really strong feeling that I needed to get back on the stage somehow.
Yes.
That was the first thing. And then also that I wanted so badly to be expressing myself musically.
Yeah. Wow. It's so powerful. And this notion that you could do these things, not knowing where it was taking you,
Yes.
I think is so important. That it simply was, let me connect to the feeling, let me acknowledge the feeling, let me give that some space in my world,
Yeah.
walk through my fear to just do this first thing, right?
Yeah.
Is to stand, to connect with the woman and take a voice lesson. And then she opened the next door and you stepped through it.
That's right.
And then you said, oh, wow, this feels pretty good.
Yeah.
Let's
I feel more myself. I mean, it was sort of like this feeling like, aha, yes,
Right.
I feel more me. Like I feel like a bigger, better version of myself, you know, a more complete version of myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I needed, you know, for me, I have to give a shout out to Paula because she's a very gutsy person.
Yeah.
And she's the kind of person that's like, I want to learn the ukulele. And then within 2 weeks, she's like on stage playing the ukulele, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
It's this,
I call those people the high divers.
yeah.
Me,
Yeah.
I'm more the toe dipper.
Yeah.
and I want to be clear, both are okay. There's no right or wrong here. They're just a little different. And I know I like to hang around with the high divers because they push me, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, they push me.
Well,
It's not my natural state to be the one who's jumping off the cliff first.
right. Yes.
I will get there.
Yeah.
And I know for sure I'll get there faster and with more conviction when I do it with high divers.
Yeah.
As opposed to hanging around with my like-minded folks who are all cheap toe dippers. We're all going, well, okay, so yeah, maybe we're gonna jump, but that cliff, that's too high. Let's start with like this little rock over here.
Right.
And it's not the same experience.
No, but I do
not.
Well, it is, I think I had been a toe dipper for quite a while, but I mean, I actually will say, I am a high diver, but not all the time. I mean, but there certainly have been moments that I was like, oh, hell yes, I'm jumping off that cliff. I mean, when I moved to Mexico, I had never been to Mexico before.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? Yeah. What it takes. And it's funny, people say to me all the time, because I have a daughter who decided to move to New Zealand. She'd been traveling around the world. She'd never been to New Zealand and chose New Zealand as the place to reside, right? Okay, so how do you do that? You do that by simply just allowing yourself to follow the energy and to trust. And I think that's the other thing that I think is worth us chatting about a little bit. So when you moved to Mexico, what did you know? Right?
Well, this is what I knew. I knew in my heart that it was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't just be like, and I mean, there are people that do this that throw themselves into random situations, like utterly random situations, just to see what happens. I mean, I find that very fun actually as an improviser, because I love to improvise.
Yes.
However, in life, I'm not going to make a decision like that unless I have a really strong feeling coming from my heart center that has already placed me there. I have a very strong vision that everything's going to be okay, Yeah. When that happened, I felt it coming before it happened. Like, I remember talking to my friend on the phone, and I said, I have this feeling, like it's a feeling like a freight train is about to like pull into town and I'm going to jump on it. I had a feeling it was coming. A big change was coming. Yeah. And then my future husband, who I did know as a friend, for the previous 3 years, came back into town, and there were like fireworks, and it became very clear that like our path was together. Yeah. And then that was in August, and I was in Mexico by the end of October. I didn't need to know. I didn't need to know. I didn't need to visit.
Right.
Because I knew it was correct. I knew it was right. Yeah. And I knew everything else would fall into place. Not to say, I mean, he already had a business. He was already running a business. So I knew like, okay, well, I know I'm going to survive.
Yes.
You know, but it was like a call of my heart that I listened to.
The same way you were called to the stage.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. But it was like, in that case, it was like that, the thrill of the jump, but it was not, for goodness sake, it was not a life or death jump. If I get up on a stage at a random, like Friday night, diva night, you know, and give it a go. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'd like to say,
my body thought it was. I mean, I was shaking.
Oh yeah.
When I was up there with my piano, I mean, my leg was shaking so hard that it was bouncing, but I couldn't stop it. It was like shaking, bouncing up and down. I'm like, okay.
Let's just go with it.
But, I will admit to being a bit of an adrenaline junkie too, but in some ways, absolutely. Like I hate heights, and you can't pay me enough, to get
no bungee jumping in your future.
I'm not that kind. But there are things that thrill me, like improv on the stage thrills me. Actually, travel is one of the things that thrills me. Like actually travel without travel, following my heart and my intuition. I have very good travel intuition.
Yes.
So I'm sort of like meh about things like Google Maps, because I used to get in the car, and I did a lot of road trips in my 20s by myself. My mom.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder how our moms survived.
Oh my God.
Cell phones, GPS, Google Maps. All those things. When I was a teen, and I want to say I was maybe 14, my mother let me get on the train in New Jersey, ride into the city with some friends, hang around all day in Manhattan, and then get home whenever I got home, kind of thing. And I think, oh my goodness, and I have to ask myself, if I lived in that space now, or when my child was that age, would I have allowed her to do that? It takes a lot of courage.
It does. I think,
and the same thing.
It was another time. I think people had slightly more. They had more trust.
Yes.
They actually had more trust in the universe in a way. But I don't know. I don't know if they're more creepy people now, or I have more paranoia about things.
And I think we just have more access to the information.
Right.
So it's a constant onslaught of it. My belief is that all of that stuff has existed, forever.
Absolutely. And I try not to lose my sense of connectivity is first here. It's not here.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's so, I tell people all the time, I said, look, I'm like you, my phone is not attached to my hip. I do not walk around carrying it every moment of the day. No. Do not expect to get an instantaneous text response from me unless I'm in my office working and expecting communication from people.
Yes.
This is not intended to be the way I connect in the world.
No, because I find I cannot hear this if I'm too distracted by that all the time.
Yeah. But and this being our hearts, and our center, our core, our that inner, I like to call it our inner wisdom, right? That part of us that knows that we know.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the core skills, and that's one of the core abilities that anybody should be working on developing. Because it does not matter what you do with your life. You could be a vagabond, or you could be the president of the United States.
Yes.
A new president of the United States. This is extremely important to be able to hear your own inner voice, whether you think that you are intuitive or not. I think that everyone has an intuition.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And what I love about the conversation around creativity and using creative activities and expression as a gateway is that it gives us a way to begin to connect to that part of ourselves.
Absolutely. Yes.
That for many, I know my story was I had turned that part of myself off completely. I was not listening to anything that had to do with what was important to me. I was totally concerned with what was important outside of myself. And literally, somebody asked me one day what my favorite color was, and I couldn't tell them because I had ceased to give any of those kinds of things importance in my life. Yeah, I realized that every office I worked in had no representation of me.
Wow.
I had completely grown to adopt and adapt to the environment that I was in. I'm very good at that. It was very easy to do. And it prevented me from having to acknowledge anything that was going on in here. Right? In the beginning, I thought it was my strength to be adaptable and all of that. And I used it in my professional life. And then it became my cloak, right? It became the thing that covered up everything else. And so then when I was given this opportunity again, or took the opportunity again to begin to listen, things like, well, do I want to choose the red pen or do I want to choose the glitter one? Huh. Wow, that's interesting. And it seems so silly to say out loud that those kinds of choices they're that door you spoke
They
about,
are.
right?
Yes.
They're that crack that leads
No,
us. Yeah, it's like, oh, the glitter excites me. Wow, that's interesting. I've never been a glitter person. So what is it? Now I've got
what does
glitter
this
gel pens.
Yeah.
So
No, it's true, because it's like just little steps into like that widen and widen and widen the path, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
But you don't have to figure out what's going to happen, 3 years down the path.
Right.
Just
Yeah. Now because
a glitter pen.
Yeah.
Allow yourself the glitter pen.
Right.
And especially if there's something, if you feel that there's something there, if you feel some conflict or like some guilt or something about the glitter pen, then for the love of God, take the glitter pen and then use it to write about that. You know what I mean? Like take 5 minutes, even 5 minutes,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's so easy for women to, because I think we're kind of programmed in this like helper mode.
Oh, absolutely.
And
Yeah.
I thought, I was like running a business. I mean, I was like in charge of the business for like 5 years.
Yeah.
So,
And a successful business.
I'm doing, I'm bucking the mold, and I'm doing, the kind of like woman thing and the strong woman thing. But recently, my husband, like now that we've gone through this transition, because he's taken over the wedding business, the wedding photography and videography business, and we're still doing wedding photography and videography, but I'm not running the business. Anyway, I mean, he recently said to me, you sacrificed a lot. You gave up like your true path to do this job in our business because it needed to be done. Because I said, I think we could use a photographer, and I was like, I can do that. So I adapted and I adopted and I did it, and I was good at it.
Yeah.
And I proved myself and whatever. But it was a sacrifice, and I didn't see it that way until recently. He's right. That was 10 years of the prime of my life,
Yeah.
So I don't regret it, but it's funny how I didn't see it. Like I mean, real talk here. I'm a Harvard graduate. I could have, if I had more guts, come straight out of there and done whatever the hell I wanted to do. That's why people go there.
Yes. Yeah.
However, even coming out of Harvard University as a bright 23-year-old, I still had parts of me that I was not like yet ready to step into my power. Like I didn't give myself permission to say, fuck yes. Sorry. I have a manifesto, I have a manifesto, and I'm going to live out my manifesto.
Right. Yeah.
I look back and I think I'm doing now what I could have done.
Yeah.
I could have done then, but I would have had to say, I don't need to prove myself in any other arena other than the arena that I construct for myself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And my arena is in theater, music, dance, performing arts. I had the vision then.
Right.
And if I may, I've been thinking about this. There's a difference between making it and making it.
Yes. Tell us more.
So I've been thinking about this. Like, where did I go wrong? Why didn't I see this in my 20s? I think in my 20s, I felt that I needed to make it on somebody else's terms.
Yes.
I needed to, like in theater, for instance, I thought, well, my God, do I guess I have to go to New York City and give it a go, but I don't want to go to New York City. I want to stay in Nebraska.
Yeah.
Well, then I guess I'll never really make it.
Right.
What I didn't understand is that that's not the kind of making it that I needed to be doing.
Right.
Instead, I needed to get into an environment where I could make it.
Yes.
Make something. Just make something. Just make a thing. Every single day. That's what you need to do. Just get yourself into an environment. If it's any kind of art, like, get yourself in your ceramic studio, get yourself in, just make a space for yourself.
Right.
The thing you will figure out, because the path will open as you move forward.
As you make, as you create, every day something new becomes available.
It's like a habit of making is really what you have to establish.
Yeah.
Theater, it's kind of hard because you need other people. You know what I mean? You can't just be like, I'm going to get up today and make theater in my house. But I mean, you can figure out ways to do that, but you really need other people.
Some interesting monologues.
Sure. I mean, you can find ways, but I mean, I did have, like, ruminating on this. I did think to myself, I have to get myself in a situation where daily, I am working on the task of performing arts.
Yes.
That was, because I've thought for many years, shit, I really should be doing theater, but how can I do that here? You don't make any money at it. There's the long litany of reasons why not to do.
Right. Yeah.
Get used to it. It exists. It's like any art, it's always exists. It's like, that's why art is hard, because the litany exists. And if it's not coming out of your head, it's coming out of somebody else's head.
Right. And it's circling right around, and you're picking it up from everybody else.
Yeah. It's always there. So you have to just learn to be like, well, I'm going to do it anyway.
Yes.
I'm going to take 20 minutes anyway today and work on that useless thing.
Yeah. That's why I love the create every day mantras, all of those things. In my work, I encourage people to go to their journals every day, if for no other reason than to be in the habit of expressing in some way. And it doesn't matter what it is. It's this idea that writers write, and I love that you're playing with the possibility of what does performing arts look like as an everyday activity.
As an everyday practice.
Yeah.
That's why I love Eurythmy so much, because it's actually an everyday practice that helps you as a performing artist.
Yes.
Whether you do dance, music, or theater, it actually helps with all of those things.
Yes.
There's coordination, there's speaking, there's listening, there's there's voice work, there's movement, a lot of coordination, which helps with all of that. It's like music.
So can you
speaking on another hand?
Can you give us an example of what a simple daily Eurythmy practice might be?
Oh, I would love to, Nanette. Yes. We work with various modalities, I would say. There is speech eurythmy, which deals with the spoken word and moving to the spoken word, but also you kind of express the spoken word through gestures. So specific gestures. I mean, there's a lot of different ways that you can make a piece. You can do it by yourself. You can do it with others.
Okay.
But with speech eurythmy, for instance, we learn movements for each one of the vowels and consonants.
Is it a little like hula in that sense?
Well, you could draw a comparison between eurythmy and other dances in the world. I think that
where there's a movement connected to a specific phrase or sound.
Classical dance has that element. I don't know that much about hula, but it may.
Yeah.
So it's like a dance which is also a language.
Yes.
And within each letter, there's really kind of a meditation.
Ooh.
And they're not arbitrary. They're based on how the air moves through your mouth when you say when you make the sound. So it really connects you with each sound.
Nice.
So for instance, the vowels, here is ah.
Yay.
Sort of like an opening.
Mm-hmm.
A is like a protecting. A. E is a connection between spirit and earth. O is like a warm feeling, like the way you might embrace something that you love, or curiosity. And then oo is like a movement. Be like this. Anyway, there are many of these. I mean, there's one for every letter. That's just one part. There's much more. That's speech eurythmy. Then we do tone eurythmy, which is movement to music. And there are movements for all kinds of elements of music. So for the notes, there are movements. For each note, specific note, there are movements which express intervals. And then you're also doing things with your feet. Like you might be making some kind of form with your feet. So you have a lot of very good, it's excellent. For instance, it's a way to teach music too. So with kids, of course it helps like hand-eye coordination and balance in the body, but also if you make movements which express these notes, you're hearing the notes better.
Yes.
Hearing them better.
Yes. Wow.
Better,
Beautiful.
And then we do another thing, which is, I actually have one right here. We work with copper rods and copper balls. I don't have my copper ball with me right now, but copper conducts energy.
Yes.
So it's kind of like an alternate to coffee in the morning. It really wakes you up when you work with these.
Oh.
And it helps with control, with kind of like grounding, because it's really like sending your energy into the copper. And it helps with, like we use copper balls to express, for instance, circle movements. And somebody who's not a dancer like myself, I can attest to the fact that it really does help, because you kind of send your energy into the ball. The later you do.
Yeah, and extend and so then you have that whole extension that you wouldn't otherwise quite visualize and feel. Yeah.
You kind of like, you learn to stream your energy into the copper, and it draws it out of you kind of. In the same, it may sound woo-woo and crazy, but if dancers don't do that, it's not good dance.
Right. What you see in a dancer's flow is the flow of that energy. You could almost draw a line of that. Yeah.
Right. So we learn a lot. I mean, we talk a lot about lines in space, basically. Like there's a lot of expression of the imagination. Essentially, that's what it is. It's visible imagination. It's one way to express what eurythmy is. So but the imaginations are often kind of they're therapeutic, they're spiritual, and they're like meditations on the basic elements of speech and music.
Nice.
So we'll do meditations that's like, we do one where we do, then this has connections with modern dance, of course, but like it's called threefold walking. Your mom would know.
Yes.
You lift your foot, you carry your foot, and you place your foot. But we will do that exercise with we imagine the sun rising behind us, and then our head, and then like setting, and then it goes to the other side of the earth, and then it comes back up again. If you spend
you could create a morning meditation of those movements, right? The same way sun salutation or Tai Chi flow, or very cool.
So the rods, I love the rods. Like here's one of the basic rod exercises. This is good for posture.
Mm-hmm.
You would do it with music, but this is the 7-fold rod exercise. But you think a lot about how straight the rod is. It helps you understand the proportion of your body.
Yes.
And in our class, you start to see like the issues that different people have. Like some people, they just don't know how tall they are. Some people think they're taller than they are. Some people think they're shorter than they are.
Yes.
But these things or some people don't know where like their shoulders, like the level of their shoulders, but all kinds of strange things. Some people just can't get anything on the left side, you know?
Yes.
But these exercises help you with that. They help you balance, and it helps in the mind and the emotions. It helps achieve a new equilibrium.
Yes.
So
yeah,
it's really kind of magical.
Beautiful.
Magical.
and you shared earlier, and I just want to highlight this point that this program is principally delivered through the Waldorf schools.
Yes, it is, but you don't have, I mean, you know, adults and kids going to a Waldorf school or not, I mean, like it has applications out in the world.
Oh, sure. So can I just Google it in my local community and see if somebody's doing eurythmy?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
EURYTHMY. And my teacher is Nina Wallace-Ockenden from our Oriel Eurythmy.
Okay.
She's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. You know, it's all connected, right? This idea that our bodies are energy, our mind, it's all, and we're connected to the energy that's around us. And anything that heightens our ability to use our awareness, for me, those are the tools that I want to encourage people to tap into, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not about teach me this thing. It's about guide me to learn the way to use this tool to connect to myself.
Right, exactly.
To connect to my energy, and to connect my energy to spirit, and to connect all of it to this global oneness, or to, you know, however it is you choose to define this time and space that we're having a conscious experience in. That's what this is about. They're tools, right? And they're magical when you allow them to support you, and when you open up.
Yeah.
And I think that's and I agree with you as a teacher, there's nothing that lifts my heart more than to watch people who, as your example, were having trouble connecting to one side of their body, and then they all of a sudden this awareness shifts, and now they have an understanding of themselves as whole.
That's right. There's something there, like the connection between the physical body and the emotions and your thoughts, and even, I mean, I have to say, like, your past lives.
Oh, sure.
Past traumas. I mean, it's very real. I've seen a lot. My friend who's also in the course with me was saying, you know, like, usually somebody's crying like every single day because it's really
some relief, some connection, yeah.
It's like retraining. We're retraining ourselves how to move, how to walk, and those are things that you learned from very, very early, and you may have been covering up something, you know.
Yeah, some imprint from previous experience that your cellular self knows and your current conscious self doesn't. That kind of stuff is fascinating to me, and I am so aware that there is so much beyond what we are processing in our current state of being. And you know, and the more we open ourselves up to the possibilities of how that serves or doesn't serve us, the more awareness and allowance we bring into our lives, which for me opens up more possibility, right? Because every time we let the boundaries go, we let the rules go, somebody else's rules. I have
Yeah.
Similar story to you. I bought into a whole thing about how as a young woman of the early 80s, I needed to put my blue suit on and go to work.
Yeah. Right.
That was how I was going to show that I was a powerful something in the world, whatever I thought that was going to be. Not quite sure. Right. And I'm also really clear that part of what kept me out of exploring expressing as a creative early on with two things. One, I was scared to death to compete on a bigger scale. It was frightening. And I had also learned that because I don't have a competitive bone in my body, I just want everybody to go play. I'm the hippy dippy girl. And let's just go, everybody make nice in the sandbox.
Yeah.
And if we make nice in the sandbox and it turns into a beautiful creation, great. But if you are, if you come with any competitive energy or any of that, it messes with my mojo. So I also learned that if I were in an environment where someone else might select me over somebody else to serve in a role or to or call me better than for whatever reason, that I didn't feel good about that. I felt worse about that because the other person wanted it so badly. And for me, I didn't care whether I was on top, on bottom, or, I just want us to all have a good time. And I learned 25 years later, when I started doing the work of uncovering my creative self, I learned that one of the biggest resistors for me was that I couldn't bear the grief that somebody else was experiencing when they didn't achieve their dream because randomly I showed up and got awarded it. That made me feel so horrible that I didn't want to play anymore, which is a really interesting thing.
I totally relate to that. But it's like a guilt somehow.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
You know what I
mean? Yeah. What's up with that?
Really, it's there. It's there. I mean, it sort of comes back to this idea, which I think that we are uncovering in everywhere right now on the planet.
Yes.
Own your own, be responsible for your own karma,
Yes.
So now I would say, although then I have also felt that way, it's like, but that is their road to walk.
Yes.
You can be a graceful winner and you can be a graceful loser. And the best you can do is be graceful in that situation, I guess. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Take the flowers.
Right. And
I agree. It's the competitive atmosphere, I think the 80s, I have to say, like, the 80s was a very competitive time. It was like, I'm going to get ahead, I'm going to put on my jacket with the shoulder pads, but my skirt's going to be real short.
And my heels are going to be real high.
Exactly. And I'm going to put out my cigarette with my heels and keep walking the ladder to the top or whatever,
Yeah.
Like we didn't have a lot of we were not modeled other paradigms for like working together. There were people doing that, but man, they were super fringe, Yeah.
There was no, you were either way out there or you were toeing the line.
Yeah, exactly.
And, I'm enough of a centrist that I was toeing the line, right? I was toeing the line. And my belief is that we find our way when we find our way for a reason, right?
Yes.
I was having this conversation with a client the other day. She was struggling with a past failure and saying, am I ever going to get over this? How am I ever going to get the courage or the strength or the confidence to be able to go forward knowing that I tried and it was a disaster, right? How am I going to do that? And, Yeah, and I think, again, to come back to the creative examples, this is the opportunity to test that, right? To put yourself on stage, to sit there with your knees knocking and your piano rocking because you're scared, so scared, and to realize that you can come back the next day and try again, and the world didn't come to an end.
Oh, totally.
Everything is, it's okay. And in fact, it's even better because now you have this opportunity. So anyway, I've come to adopting this expression I call failing up.
Yeah.
Because my belief is, and it has to do with this idea in a group that I know, we have conversation around, oh, gee, do I have to put that backpack on again and go around on this same journey again? Haven't I already learned this lesson? And just kind of saying to life, really? Is it what?
Well,
come on.
Apparently not. You know what I'm saying?
Apparently not.
And something you haven't seen yet.
Right. And what I've come to appreciate is that I'm not walking on the same path.
Oh, no.
Path, right? The path is different because I'm different.
Yeah.
And so now, rather than visualize it in this little circle with me and my backpack going around and around, kicking myself and tripping over the same rock, I'm coming up in this sort of helix pattern, right?
Yeah.
And I'm still going around, no question, and I still have lessons I haven't quite learned, but every time I'm coming with new tools, new experiences. I'm not the same person I was yesterday.
Absolutely.
And when I'm creating every day, I'm bringing so much more into my field as I make this move.
Sure.
And so every cycle is now there's just so much more available and accessible. And so, I might trip over the same darn boulder of sorts, right? It might be the same material that gets in my way, but it's not I'm not on that exact same path. I'm somewhere else. So it really, just this whole idea of the openings and the expanse. And I love that you have found your way to a tool and a series of tools that really embodies this wholeness of not only us as beings, but our spirit, our environment, all of that. I think it's just
so refreshing.
Cool.
So refreshing.
Yeah. And thank you so much.
Yeah,
thank you for sharing it.
Artists, they need something like that, like a connection with, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to define it as spirit, but like a connection with quietness, or a connection with your inner self, or with your own voice, a connection with your own voice. It's all the same, really. I mean, I think like a fine spirit here,
Yes.
via this route.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah, but it's like, I do think of it as kind of, I think of that kind of spiral. And I have heard people lately sort of expressing frustrations like, God, why have we not arrived at Shambhala yet? And I'm like, I've been thinking a lot about, I am a Buddhist, I guess. I think that way. I don't meditate every day or anything. Like, I don't know if I'm a good Buddhist, but I definitely, like, that informs my thinking a lot, the philosophy. And I think we have many, many lifetimes to get where we're going, you know?
Yeah.
So if I take the long view, I don't feel so bad if I trip.
Right.
If I take a really long view, Yeah. Obviously, there's a lesson in everything if you look for it. If you reject it, you won't learn it. You won't learn the lesson.
Right.
Sometimes while cursing that rock, you have to really look into the nature of the rock and accept the rock as it is. Love that rock, know.
Yeah.
Something will shift because it's always about your perspective, really.
Yeah.
It's not just how your feet hit the path. It's like how you experience the path with your whole being.
Right. Because it's our awareness that creates the path in the first place, right?
Yeah.
You know, maybe the path isn't even there, right? I mean, we can really,
that also helps,
right? Yeah. So, you know, I love to jump into the quantum physics space, right? And to just do the whole, well, you know, how many simultaneous expressions of myself can I have in this same moment?
Yeah, exactly. Sure. It helps when things get really weird. I mean, I've thought about that lately, you know, because I see people struggling, and I think I feel so thankful that I do have this perspective that I've, you know, I feel very lucky because it helps me when things get weird.
Yeah. And our reality can get weird. You know, there's stuff that happens. And then it circles back to the knowing what we know, and knowing what we know because we've opened up to listening, feeling, you know, just being in the space of connecting, whatever that looks like, however it shows up, whatever tools that we use to help us with that. And there's an awareness that it's all okay, right? And I think that, you know, different from what you experienced years ago, similar to what I experienced years ago, which was there were all these rules that we had to adhere to, that we had to play to, that we had to be a part of, and we measured ourselves.
Thought we did.
Yeah, we measured ourselves by how we were playing in those. Yeah. And so then I know what happened for me when I first started to expand into my creative expression of self and what that would look like, then it gets really scary because there's no boundaries, right? It's like, okay, well, if there aren't any rules now, whoa, wait a minute. You know, now we've got, you know, now there's the potential for chaos and things being totally out of control.
Mm-hmm.
How do I rein it back in?
Oh, I can talk about that.
Yeah.
I can talk about that. I mean, I transitioned from like running a company, you know, to like where I am now. I have my days are open.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, I really learned actually from the last 10 years of running my own business.
Yeah.
How to work from home.
Yeah.
Efficiently.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning, it was actually when I moved to Mexico and I left my like 9 to 5 at Apple.
Yes.
But, you know, and then I was faced with a life where I didn't have any real kind of schedule anybody else was imposing. I had weddings every once in a while, you know?
Yeah.
It felt strange, you know. I was like, I can wear my pajamas all day. That's weird, you know?
Yes, right.
So there's like steps. There's steps of that. But, you know, my God, I held on to this kind of like office-y kind of paradigm.
Yes. Yeah, we do it.
Where, I mean, I live in a vacation community and people are all levels of strange and disconnected from, you know, the mainstream culture.
Yes.
Many people learned to disconnect and make their own daily paradigm and habits years ago. But here I am, you know, the wound up American. And I'm still like, you know, for years here, I was still just like, busy. I don't have any time. I'm so busy, you know?
Right.
It's funny how it took me that long. I mean, I've been here almost 11 years.
Yeah.
But I am a calendar geek, and I know now that like I have to have some structure in my day. That's me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But what I do on a daily basis is I break my day up into blocks. I can show you my calendar. I mean, this is on the nitty-gritty level, you know.
Yeah, well, and I think it's important because, there you go. Love it.
I have each day, I don't know if you can see, but I have some things that are fixed, and then these are blocks of time. So this is a 2-hour block, and these are each 1.5-hour blocks.
Mm-hmm.
So then I have another calendar, which I think I can show you. And I just have like, I basically note every day what I have done, not in a very detailed way, actually, in a really broad way. So I can see how I'm spending my time on different projects.
Yes.
So it's like a done list. So I know, for instance, like if I screw up and I'm like, I'm not paying attention to my Monday morning and like all of a sudden, oh my God, I've arrived at 1 p.m. and I like at lunchtime and I haven't done anything yet.
Yes.
I'm like, well, at least it was just one time block.
Yes.
I really think the blocks and they're like the same every day.
Yeah.
So I don't lament if I get through 1 or 2 blocks and I'm like stuck on some project. Then I'm like, okay, well, it's time to move on now to something else. If I want to spend any time on Eurythmy this week.
Yes. Yes. So, yeah, because so share with us. So you have Eurythmy you're doing, you have Stage Garden you're doing. You still do a little bit of photography, yes?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
And I'm a mom.
Yes.
So I got a lot going on.
You got stuff going on.
I wish you could see closer, but so here I do like a month. This is a month view. Yeah. I have so here's each one of these is a project in my life. So here is Eurythmy.
Yeah.
Here is Stage Garden.
Yeah.
Here is creativity coaching because I'm working on that.
Yeah.
Here is Playa Weddings, my theater or my photography company. Right now I'm calling it Playa Weddings Studio and Transition because I'm really transitioning out of my role there, except for as well. I shoot a wedding. That's it.
Yeah.
This is Rachel Schrank Photography, which is my new photography.
Yes, for your cool images. And yes.
This is family stuff, and this is like household maintenance, like crap you need to do in the house.
Yeah, because we have to do that stuff. We live in a home. We have, it would be lovely if we didn't have to do it, but we do.
So in another place, I have like my to-do list. But as you know, when you keep a to-do list, it depresses you. I don't know about there's like 80 million things on it, and you could never do everything on your to-do list. So my rule is to look at the to-do list less, and I put the number 1 or 2 sometimes things in each of these main categories that I need to get done. So then all that clutter is cleared away. I can go back to my to-do list to figure out what that thing is, but that means I'm constantly having to set my number 1 priority in each category.
Yeah.
So this is what bubbles to the top. And then on each day, I just keep track by color because I'm that kind of nerd. I'm really nerdy, but this is something I've honed over like the last 3 years. It works.
Yes, I know when we first were talking about it. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
It still works. It's still working after 3 years. It's really saying something. So then I just by color, I can put like here, you can see this was a Thursday and it was this day. I have 1, 2, and 3 blocks in orange, which means I spent that whole day on this My Weddings transition. So now, because we're in the middle of the month now, I can see that I've been spending a crap load of time on Stage Garden.
Yes.
I can see maybe that's a little unbalanced and I need to put more energy into Eurythmy, but it gives me a sense of accomplishment.
Yes.
Then I put like a star on a day if I accomplish something that day. Like if I hit some sort of milestone or goal.
Fantastic.
Let's say I get rid of, I did this thing. Then that thing gets a star.
Yeah.
That's how I keep track, of all my projects. And I feel like it's not just like a massive, scary swath of time with no, divisions, you know what I mean? Like with no.
Yeah. Because I think there is this,
or
yes. Well, and I think there's this fallacy that somehow as creatives, when you shed the rules, other people's rules, right? That you're just supposed to be, let's go with the flow, right?
Yeah.
And yes, we're all about flow. Clearly, you demonstrated eurythmy and flow, and and I practice access consciousness, all about ease and flow. We're all about flow, and there are containers for things that help us give focus and attention. And each day, as you described, each day we have an opportunity to check in with ourselves and to see if this project is still feeling like something that needs my attention.
Yes.
And because we use these tools and we have these containers and we have blocks of time, it gives us, and I love that you can look at your calendar and you can say, okay, so Stage Garden obviously is taking a lot of my attention. And then not from a right or wrong perspective, but just from, is that what I want
perspective. It's an observation. Now I know.
It's simply an observation.
Sure.
And then you get to make a choice in your life that's aligned with what's going on in here and who you want to be. And that's what those containers give. When we allow, the waves of it all just to be kind of swirling around, waiting for the moment we're going to be inspired, it doesn't work with the same sense of consistent motion. I think it's that same energy of the create every day, find a way to perform every day, finding a way, because the practice of that is what teaches us and grows our awareness and our understanding of the possibilities of new things. And it brings us new information, right? That continues to inform our choices and continues to align how it is that we want to be and where it is that we want to go.
Yeah, totally. Like, for instance, there's so much I can take from that. For a while I thought, oh my God, I really should be spending time on something else, but then I thought, Rachel, think of everything you're doing in this show. We don't have a crew, you know what I mean? Like
you make costumes.
I'm an actress. We were working on the music. It's a musical, a band.
Right.
We're doing I took on marketing.
Yes.
We were planning the trip to the Renaissance Festival. And of course I had an idea, like I would love to be done with everything a week before the show. But then I got there and I was like, I'm not done with everything. It's a week before the show. I'm in super get her done mode. And I thought, it's absolutely unrealistic. Of course, this is the way it works in theater. It's like busy, 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 crazy, crazy, crazy up until the day of the show. That's the way it goes. So I was able to observe. It's been a long time since I got a show like this up.
Yes.
A long time.
Yeah.
My 20s, really, So instead of being mad about it, I guess I just thought, this is interesting to observe. It's good to observe this.
Right.
Of course it's like this. But now things have slowed down a little bit because we got it up on its feet. It worked. Everything worked. Now we're in the adjustment phase. So we know that amount of work starts to, level off a little bit. Yeah. And now I feel like, okay, I can put in several days because I have my eurythmy course coming up. Mm-hmm. I don't need to feel bad about doing several days in a row of just eurythmy homework, eurythmy practice. I can do that now, and I don't need to feel weird about it because I can see earlier
where your time's gone. Yes, it's powerful.
When you're more balanced and you're like, well, I'm gonna spend the mornings doing this. I'm gonna spend the afternoons doing this. I'm gonna split it evenly between these two projects. Yeah. And then there's times when a project needs all your attention, and that's just
that's okay.
That's part of the creative process is the obsessive part.
Right.
Everyone goes into that sometimes, into the cave, and you're just about your book or your art show coming up,
Yes.
So that's part of it. And I think balance is always an issue.
And in one of my circles, we've traded balance for harmony. And I like that. That instead of working on balance, we're working on harmony.
That's nice.
And then, because that gives us, it doesn't quite have that feeling. It has more of this feeling.
Yeah. It's a piece of many elements.
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Yes.
And then it doesn't have to be like one thing wins and another thing loses. I mean,
right. And that's, that scale thing gives me that feeling. And I've tried in my life, and what I encourage others to look at too is, well, what if we got rid of right and wrong, good and bad?
Sure.
We don't judge that way. We let go of those meanings, and we simply be in this place of observing, allowing, and then making a different choice. Or similar choice, whatever, it's just the, okay, so that is that. And how does it make me feel? And if I don't want that anymore, then I'm going to make a different choice.
Yes.
No judgment about it, just is what it is.
Yes. Well, that's a very, contemplative, meditative, Buddhist-ish.
Yes.
to approach it, but I think that, in any, like, if we're going to just, side note, I think all religions have their contemplative side,
Yes.
I think everyone can sort of recognize the importance of being able to just kind of step back from your life and observe.
Yeah.
I
for years I called it take the 30,000 foot view.
Yeah.
Right. That was in my business hat. That's what I called it. It's all the same, right? It's the get out of yourself, let go of the meaning, the attachment, the rules, all of those constructs that we put on things.
Yes.
Step above it at some level and simply observe. And then without emotion, without judgment, what do I see? Yeah. And then using that data. And that's why I think, you're not the first creative to on this show say, yeah, I'm a nerd. I mean, it's interesting to me how many of us are not just the hippy dippy painting artist type, but we can dive right into the tech and get totally nerded out with tools and tricks and totally understand how all of those things work together. So one of the things that I love about these conversations is that we're really kind of throwing out that notion that creatives can't be techie, we can be totally techie and totally understand and appreciate how all of those little things fit together. So taking that 30
tools.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yes. Yeah. So taking that 30,000 foot view gives us the opportunity to really see. And I think, one of our strengths is that we have the ability to see all the moving parts.
Yeah.
Right. And then that nerdy techie part of us says, okay, how are they all fitting together? And if I push this button, what happens over here? That stuff. But maybe if I push this button, I'll get not only this one, but this one will go up too.
Yeah. Well, right. It's the sense of play.
Right. Yeah. And that I think is the fun intersection at the end of the day. Now that we've given ourselves to let the rules go, we can say, okay, now I'm looking down and I'm observing and I'm willing to test and to poke and to say, okay, like the little kid, if I throw some of this in here, if I do that, if I swirl this up, if I touch that, what happens? And
that's like one of my main, I guess I keep certain like mantras in my head. I mean, that's one of my, it's an experiment.
Yes.
So it's like you have to look at every artistic venture as an experiment. And then if you do, then it's not so bad if you fail, because that's what experiments are. I mean,
yes.
Run experiments, they fail 99 times, and then like the 100th time,
yes,
you found
yes. And I love, and that circles us right back to the beginning of our conversation where you talked about happy accidents, right? Because I use that expression a lot too. And and love that in our creative process, when that happens, we then, you know, and another door opens up and we're like, wow, look at what happened here. This is pretty cool. And then you can eventually, as you are doing now with Stage Garden and where it's taking you guys, you can step, you know, from this 2 years later, 3 years later, you can look back and say, oh, you know, this, when I did this, it connected me to this. And when I allowed myself to try that, then this door opened. And then when I, you know, and then, oh, so now I can see how all these pieces ended up coming together to bring this beautiful thing into being, which is, you know, an amazing, amazing experience. So,
well, it is a cool thing, sort of like to take the scientific method and apply it to creative work, you know?
Yes.
A worksheet. I mean, because it puts the feedback loop and the observation portion, you know, into the project. So yeah, that'd be a worksheet I would be interested in using.
Definitely. Love that idea. Love that idea. So we'll be looking forward to seeing some sample of that at some point. Wow. So here we are, and we've gone past an hour, I think, for sure. It's always a delight to have these conversations.
I know, I was talking to you. That was really fun.
Yes. Very fun. We'll have to do this more often.
Yeah,
with every one of my guests I've concluded with, you know what, we will definitely circle back because there's so much more. And the conversation just gets richer and richer and richer, right? The more experiences we have, the more that we have opportunities to share and explore within the conversation too. So I'm loving this idea of the scientific method applied to creative projects. Very interesting. And so before we close, please share with our listeners how it is that they can connect with you and all the cool things that you're doing in the world.
Well, you can follow me on Facebook under Rachel Perry Day, D-E, Schrank.
Okay. And we will post all of these links in the show notes. So
perfect. And then I'm on Instagram as Rachel Schrank. I have many other projects, but I think those are the best ways to find me directly. And then Stage Garden is on Facebook as Stage Garden Project.
Nice.
And we have a website, which is stagegarden.com.
And you guys have a Patreon page too,
and we have a Patreon, yes. Thank you very much.
Yes, I'm a big fan of Patreon. For our listeners, if you don't know Patreon exists to provide artists and creatives a platform to reach their audiences and to receive financial reward for that. So in interesting and creative ways, I think it's super cool. So please try to connect with Stage Garden on Patreon.
Yeah, Patreon's a really interesting community. You can see all kinds of creatives doing all kinds of
super cool stuff going on over there.
Yeah. So
Neat. And if anybody is ever in Mexico and Playa del Carmen, you got to look up Rachel. And you guys are performing. Do you perform with regularity at any particular place? Where do the divas perform?
Well, we have an Airbnb experience right now. It's called Beachfront Gypsy Caravan.
Nice.
So if you go to Playa del Carmen in Airbnb and look for either experiences or intimate concerts.
Nice.
Find us. So you have to go look for Playa del Carmen, then click on intimate concerts, and you'll find us. So
okay, and for those of you, go ahead.
Our show's playing select Fridays from now until March at least.
Excellent.
Yes, and we're on. If anybody is going to be at the Excalibur Festival in Valle de Bravo,
there we go. You will be there. That'll be fun. Oh, I'm looking forward to hearing all about that. I'm a huge Renaissance Festival fan. Yeah, huge Renaissance Festival fan.
In Florida, we'll be up in the States sometime soon, I think. This is our first.
Good. Well, keep us posted on that. And Yeah, very, very, very excited for all of those things. And for everyone who's not familiar with Airbnb experiences, you don't have to stay in an Airbnb to buy a ticket or experience an Airbnb experience. What they've added to Airbnb now is the possibility that there are activities in various communities and Airbnb is marketing those. So that's super, super cool. It's a neat audience of people and a cool community being built over there at Airbnb. I'm a big fan.
Yes, it's a great way for other artists to get their work out there and connect.
Yes, absolutely. So, all right. And yes, and so this is our second cat guest. Our very first podcast guest had her cat wander through the middle of our show too. So thank you so much. Been a real pleasure. I will for now sign us off, say thank you so much to Rachel for being here with us and sharing your gifts with the world. Super, super cool that you are stepping out to teach and to lead us all in this new way of being. I am so glad that our paths have crossed and continued to work in these circles. So, yeah, so until we meet again, folks, thanks for listening. This is Nanette Saylor and my special guest, Rachel Schrank. We are signing off this episode of Create, Play, Live, and looking forward to our next get together. And in the meantime, as always, please do stay curious, my friends. There is magic there when you look for it. Bye for now. You are listening to the Create, Play, Live show, where women come together to share how curiosity and creativity lead them to extraordinary lives. I'm your host, Nanette Saylor, and I'm honored to share the mic with some truly amazing women who have asked and answered the question, what if we stop adulting and live every day with the curiosity of a child at play? And these enlightening conversations will invite you to let go of outdated standards, make your own rules, and give yourself permission to play more than ever before. You have the power to create your life. Spend some time with us and you'll learn to see life through new eyes and challenge yourself to new possibilities. We may not solve the world's problems, but we will get you to think differently about your own. Come play with us. Listen and subscribe at createplaylive.com.